Thank you, Josue, for your thoughtful words and for always your humor and your kind introduction. I appreciate that. I want to tell you right off the bat that I think you're going to hear some themes this morning that will, hopefully, you'll see a through line and you'll be able to point back to in lots of different ways. I, too, hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving break. I certainly did. I want to highlight for you that one of the opportunities that I had over the Thanksgiving break was to meet with more than 100 Derryfield alumni who gathered to reconnect with their schoolmates and teachers and staff over the last week at two different events. Some of you were actually even there at one of those events. I personally enjoyed meeting these alums and hearing their stories. A number of themes emerged from my conversations, including how appreciative alumni are for being so well prepared for their college classes, how much of a pain it is to wash their own clothes, how much they missed the people, the community, and the core values of Derryfield. And so it's with that I want you to know that we should all be proud to be part of a place where there is spirit and energy, dedication and commitment, as well as sacrifice and service. I've seen all of these things in very public moments, such as homerooms and classrooms, community meetings, homecoming, and even Halloween. But I've also witnessed students and adults stepping up when no one is looking, which I think says a lot about this community. I've seen moments where a student came forward to share with an adult a concern they had for one of their friends so that the adults in the community could get them the help that they needed. I've seen a teacher volunteering to stay late to help a student with a paper that was due the next day. I've seen a coach putting in extra hours to make highlight tapes for players. I've seen a custodian putting an extra layer or coat of wax on the floor because he just didn't feel it looked shiny enough. I've seen staff members offering to help set up for an event for which really that staff member had no direct affiliation with. These are the moments, in my mind, that really define a community and provide a blueprint for all of us to live up to. These are the types of moments that alumni shared with me and what they appreciated most about their time here at Derryfield. When I was your age in middle and high school, I played soccer. There was one referee who was known as the Admiral, who officiated many of my games. Every time he stepped on the field to referee a game, he sported finely polished all-black Adidas boots, cleats, if you don't know what those are, socks pulled up perfectly to his knees, and his all-black referee shirt neatly tucked into his shorts. He was by far the best-dressed high school referee I had ever seen, and still to this day. He was the Admiral because he served in the Navy. And after retiring from the Navy, he settled in Central Virginia, where I grew up, and he refereed soccer games for fun. And thus, we as players affectionately named him the Admiral. The Admiral always proved himself to be an excellent referee. Beyond his technical knowledge of the game, I remember how friendly and balanced he was. It was even strange at times. For instance, the opposing team might score a goal, and he would run up behind me and say, "You're all right, get back after it." It was disarming and regularly knocked me out of my sort of down and out, oh no, the other team just scored a goal. I would smile at his words, my team would kick off the ball, and we would start playing again. The greatest lesson the Admiral ever taught me, however, was during a game against our arch rivals for the regular season league championship. Everything was, as they say, on the line, and the game was contentious. Needless to say, I personally felt that the other team was playing too rough, as one of our key players had to be carried off the field due to a particularly nasty slide tackle by an opposing player. I admit I lost my cool, and I said something like, "This is unbelievable, call something." Instead of giving me a card or sending me off the field, which he could and probably should have, he simply came over to me and said calmly, "We can talk about that last play, but only if you speak to me respectfully." He smiled, and I nodded, I understood, and play got underway again. What I learned from the retired Navy vet turned soccer referee was that he had expectations for me. And I want you all to know that as your head of school, I have expectations for you. At the top of my list, as you've already heard twice this morning, it is for you to be respectful. In addition to the examples I gave earlier of members of this community stepping up and doing the right thing, There unfortunately have been a few moments this fall when some members of this community have not lived up to the expectations we have for all of you. They include, as Ms. Belanger and Josue noted, at times students laughing or talking during community meeting when a student, teacher, staff member, or special guest is performing or sharing a personal or vulnerable moment. An older student on an almost full bus putting a backpack on the seat beside them so that the younger students are unable to sit beside them. Students demanding an extension because a change of assignment wasn't modified on MSA, but had been clearly communicated verbally in the class before. And yes, coaches, athletes, and even some parents yelling at referees. As you can see, we here at Derryfield are far from perfect, as is true in really every community, and still have work to do. I hope we all recognize that we can be both individually and collectively better by owning up to the moments when we aren't our best selves, and as a result, learn, grow, and be better the next time. One alumna that I met this past week shared with me what convinced her that Derryfield was the right school for her when she was applying many years ago. She told me this story that she and her mom were approaching the entrance to the middle school during her visit day. And a Derryfield student at the time noticed that she and her mom were approaching. They stopped at the entrance and held open the door. This very simple act translated very clearly to this prospective student who was curious about Derryfield. And that translation was that Derryfield was a community, and I hope still is a community, with standards and expectations for those of us who are part of the community. So with all of this in mind, as we come away from Thanksgiving holiday and start the winter trimester, I offer you a charge. Be the best version of yourself. I know that without question, there is an adult here, many actually, who care about you and want to see you thrive. Honor their belief in you and be the best version of yourself. Hold the door open for a stranger or someone you know. Be attentive and supportive during community meeting. Offer the seat on the bus beside you. Be respectful of your teachers. And finally, don't yell at the referee. If we all individually aim to meet this charge, we will collectively become not only a great community, but a good one too. So thank you for listening. I look forward to the winter trimester, the spring trimester, and many, many more moments with all of you and your goodness. I appreciate that. It is now at this moment that I want to welcome Mr. Lang and Ms. LeBlanc to the stage to tell you a little bit more about a wonderful event this Saturday, the Semi. Thank you.